talk to you, sister? Can I talk to you for a second? You going to the concert later? You going to the concert today? Okay, what's your nationality? Is your father or mother? Both of them? What tribe?
I know my dad's Apache.
Apache? Okay. Believe in the Bible? Somewhat? I know there's I don't want to say it's a disconnect, but there's a certain disdain for the Bible on certain reservations. You familiar with that? How old are you? So you're fairly young. So we've been to certain powwows and, we've studied history up here, you know what I mean? And we know that you guys have a lot of oral tradition in your traditions. You ever been on a reservation? Are you familiar with that? Or?
No.
Okay. Not a problem. So most of the people on reservations, they've been, I don't want to say indoctrinated, but back in the 1600s, 1700s, we know the white man came, conquered the land, gave you guys a doctrine of the Bible. That's why you guys don't necessarily agree with it or think you're a particular people that are written about. We can prove Native Americans are people of the book. You have some time? How much time you got?
I'm not going anywhere.
Hey, good. I like these shoes too. Oh, those is the creative. Oh, I remember those from like 10 years ago. I remember those. It was clean though. I ain't gonna lie. I forgot the name of them. Those the creative. What's that?
Creative recreation.
Some recreation. Those is clean though. I used to have a couple pairs. But let's get to the Bible. You say you're Apache, right? And your father, your mother's Apache. Are you familiar with any history that they taught you?
No, it wasn't Apache.
Are they like Americanized or?
Yeah.
Okay. What about your grandparents?
My grandparents, not too sure about my dad's side, but my mom's side might a little bit.
Where's their reservation at, or where's their land at in California? You familiar? Never been? Okay, well, that's not a problem. Let me get Deuteronomy 28. Go into my backpack real quick. You know what I want to give you that? I'm going to show you some archaeology, too. You believe in science, archaeology? Okay. So, we're going to read something real quick. And I'm going to prove to you that the people that call themselves Native Americans believe in the Bible, unbeknownst to them for the most part, and they have Hebrew customs as well. And their language is a dialect of Hebrew. We're going to get to that in a second. Give me about Gad. No, give me Genesis 49. You know what I want? Give me Isaiah 6 real quick. So you don't have any qualms about the Bible? You don't know good or bad, nothing? You're not familiar with it? Never been to church?
I was when I was younger, but I stopped.
Yeah, it's madness. It's just for theater. It's theater in there, you know what I mean? That's what we feel. It's not for our people. But we're going to give you the true information about the Bible. Not necessarily you're going to take it or leave it. We're just going to present it to you, and you can take it as you will. You know what I mean? No. Yeah, you start from the top and you can go to Gad. Read. Because everybody thinks, well, I would say thinks, but people just think, oh, it's just about a belief. I believe it. We believe it, but we can back it up with information. You know what I mean? Archaeology, history, like you said. Like I said, there's oral traditions, like I described before, about the Native Americans that they passed down. And there's cultural traits. There's, what's it called? Rites and things like that. Rituals that they did that prove that it comes from the Bible. So where'd they get it from if they're not the people? We're going to get to that, though. Give me this.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49 from the top. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you which shall befall you in the last days.
So the key component of the Bible, what makes us believe, per se, is prophecy. Have you heard that word before? What is prophecy? Yeah, you say it before it happens, and it comes to pass. So, in God's word, we believe the true word of God is found in the Bible. God spoke a word to his people back in the ancient times that came to pass years later. Sometimes 50 years later, 100 years later, 1,000 years later, 2,000 years later, in this particular context. So he's talking to his sons, but he's going to give them traits that's going to happen to their descendants. Because he had 12 sons, one daughter. He's going to talk about his 12 sons, and one of the sons is called Gad. We believe that Gad is the Native American Indians of this landmass. You know what I mean? Read.
Verse 19. Gad. A troop shall overcome him.
A what?
A troop shall overcome him.
A troop shall overcome Gad. Now, we read in the ancient world in the Bible, they didn't get overcome by a troop. Who got overcome by a troop? The Native Americans. With General Jackson, things like that. The Trail of Tears. Down there in Florida, in Oklahoma, Texas, all across America, right or wrong. What were those the cavalry called?
The troop, right? So like the American cavalry when they during the expansion into the West, so they were all named by troop by letters like C troop, A troop, B troop, right? And then that's going back to the prophecy in Genesis 49.
Yeah, so they're conquered by a troop, by the cavalry of America. Keep reading.
But he shall overcome at last.
Yeah, they're going to overcome at last. Why? Because they're God's chosen people, and eventually they're going to wake up, because they're fighting left and right for their land still, even though it's not necessarily time for, like, this isn't their original land. Quiet as kept. Obviously, they were here first, but they came here from the Eastern Hemisphere, mainly Israel. You know what I mean? We can prove it. I don't know if I got this book, but I have another book at the house that I should have brought. But I can explain it to you. You can look it up as well. Give me, you want one? Yeah, give me that.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33 and verse 20. And of Gad, he said, Blessed be he that enlarges Gad. He dwelleth as a lion, and teareth down the arm with the crown of the head.
What does that sound like to you? Did you hear that? God dwells as a lion. He teareth the arm with the crown of the head. What does that sound like? So if you study the ancient Native Americans, the theory is that they can run for what? 10, 20 miles straight. You know what I mean? Their endurance was crazy. Their hunting style was crazy. Because they hunted with bows and arrows. Killing lions and jaguars and all types of wild beasts. You know what I mean? How'd they do that? They didn't dwell as a lion. They weren't ferocious in their tactics. And also it says, they tear up the arm with the crown of the head. That's going into what? Scalping. They scalp people, right? That's what it's referencing. But the prophecy, that didn't happen in the ancient world. Of course, it went to war with other nations back then, but this is the prophetic 2 chapters about the tribes. So Gad's going to come over here, dwell as a lion, and scalp people, because he scalped the white man, right? They say the white man did it first, it's either here or there, but they still did it. So give me First Chronicles. Let's get another trait. Then we're going to the history.
It's the book of First Chronicles, chapter 5 and verse 18. The sons of Reuben and the Gadites.
The Reubenites will be the Seminole Indians. The Native American Indians, the North American Indians and the Seminole Indians are necessarily 2 different tribes, but they're both Israelites, you know what I mean? The Reubenites were the Seminoles in Florida, they went to Oklahoma as well, but most of Native American Indians are the Gadites, read?
And half the tribe of Manasseh of valiant men. Valiant men, Salaki. Men able to bear buckler and sword, and to shoot with bow, and skillful in war. Were 440,703 score that went out to war.
Yeah, so that's the choice of weapons. Shield and buckler, bow and arrow. We know that's a fact. They use that all the time. We didn't create the gun. I think the Asian man created the gun and the white man later on. You know what I mean? So guess what? When the white man came with guns, they didn't know how to defend themselves for the most part. They had to surrender, right? That's the main reason why they got conquered, along with the disease that the white man brought. You're familiar with that history, right? The smallpox blankets, the diseases, tricking them out of their land for the most part. They having the right treaties that they broke. Give me that in Psalms 55, actually, real quick. So let me get to the archaeology. Psalms 55 and 20. Yes, 55 and 20. Are you familiar with this? This was in New Mexico. It's called the Los Lunas Stone in New Mexico. Were Native Americans there? He's from New Mexico, right? This is in New Mexico. What is this?
I don't know. I've never been to
This is the 10 Commandments in Paleo Hebrew. How'd they get the 10 Commandments? Who taught them that? Who told them this language? This is the quote unquote dead language of some people. Nobody speaks this no more. But the Native Americans did. How they get this? How they learn this? If they aren't the people of the Bible.
Right.
How'd they get this? They're the people of the Bible. They're the Israelites.
That's right.
Let me read something about this real quick. This is Discovery of Ancient America. Hold this. Let me read this too. Let me read something for you. Because it gets deep. It gets way deeper. Where am I at? And they found more than this at this particular mountain. They found like 4 different artifacts in Hebrew. Let me see. Oh, here we go. This is I don't want to get that. Basically, they found. Turn that on. They found like 4 different artifacts in Hebrew, starting with this one. They found this is a picture of one with the Paleo Hebrew. You know what I mean? And then they have one that's missing. This is a Paleo Hebrew in New Mexico on a mountainside. Let me show you another picture actually. So the picture's worth yeah, it's right there. That's it. That's on the side of like a big rock. The 10 Commandments right there. Obviously this is blowing up and digitized. Go ahead. So, and this is another one that they found. But let me read the clip note. You know what I mean? See, this is it, the same one. It's the same picture, right? It's the same thing. So let me read out of this. Then we'll go back to the Bible and prove that they already knew about the God of the Bible. So what did Native Indians call the Creator? The Great Spirit, right? Are you familiar with that? Are your grandparents still alive?
Yeah, yes, I
Ask them if they believe in the Great Spirit and who that is. They're probably going to say he's the Creator. And that's what they call the God of the Bible. But, like I said, since they lost their heritage, they're not going to say, oh, the Bible's our heritage. No. But I'm going to prove it to you. So you go back to them and ask them questions. They might not agree. You might not agree after you leave here. You know what I mean? But at least we can get the information because we're proving it to you. We're not just talking. We're not like a Christian pastor just want to tell you to believe it, just to believe it. We're giving you the history. We're giving you the archaeology. We will match it with the Bible because everything's ordained by the Creator. You know what I mean? Right. So let's read this. It says, finally, there was also a report of the existence of a third inscription found on Hidden Mountain, because that's what they call it, Hidden Mountain, because nobody lives there. It's a desolate place, but obviously Native Americans live. So it says, which was translated by the late Dr. Robert Pfeiffer of Harvard in 1948. The missing inscription is reported to have been, I don't know what that says, but which would be rendered in modern Hebrew, also read right to left, reading left to right. The phrase would be transliterated, which Pfeiffer saw fit to translate as Temple of Tony. Tony in Hebrew means my sea serpent or sea serpents. This phrase hardly seems to fit the context of the other inscriptions, and even if it was a vague reference to Kukulkan, the feathered serpent. Have you heard that before? Kukulkan? Have you heard of what's the other one? Quetzalcoatl. Have you heard of that? Those are the gods of the Aztec, the Mayans, things like that. But this was found in Mexico, and he's basically making a reference to that same entity because we're all related. You say you're Native American, right? You're related to the blacks and Hispanics because these are the same people. That's why he referenced the same thing, because it's the same reference. But let's get here. It says, known among the tribes of Central America, it will be inappropriate for worshipers of Yahweh, which is, how they say the Creator's name in, modern terms. If, however, Dr. Piper respectfully read the M, a letter variant also used in the Ten Commandments inscription at Hidden Mountain, as an N, a much more logical sentence emerges, which he transliterates this as well. But the main thing I wanted to get was how he referenced the sea serpent part or the serpent part. And that's where the Bible comes in again. So you guys, like the Native Americans and the Hispanic people didn't make that up. Because they said the Mayans called him Kukulkan, the Aztecs called him Quetzalcoatl, which was a serpent god. But let's read about a serpent being a quote-unquote god in the Bible. And we're going to tie it all in. You know what I mean? Go ahead. Give me Isaiah 6 chapter. And give me Isaiah, I think it's 29. Go ahead.
Isaiah 6:1. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne,
Read.
high and lifted up.
Yeah, so he's having a vision. Read.
And his train filled the temple.
Uh-huh.
Above it stood
A
seraphims.
seraphim. That's the word you want to focus on. What's a seraphim? I'm just asking, it might be rhetorical. I don't want to, I would give the opportunity if you might know it, you know what I mean? But let's get the Hebrew word for seraphim, because it's translated half of the Bible is written in Hebrew, the other half is written in Greek. So let's get the Hebrew word, which it was translated from. What's seraphim mean? Read.
In Isaiah 6:2, the Hebrew word for seraphim is H8314. And it's seraph. It's a serpent.
A what?
Serpent?
It's a serpent, right?
Fiery serpent.
A fiery flying serpent. So it's going back to the book I just read. They call it a sea serpent, but it's really a serpent god. No matter what type of serpent, it's a serpent god. Read.
Burning, in other words, poisonous, a seraph or symbolic creature.
A symbolic creature. Why? Because what? They called Kokokin or Quetzalcoatl a serpent god. It's still a creature, but it's worship as a god. So when we get back to Isaiah, he's seeing a vision of the throne room of the Father, the Creator, and he sees seraphim sitting there, serpents sitting there, flying serpents sitting there. Read.
Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 did he fly.
Read on.
And one cried unto another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts.
Lord of hosts, the Creator. His name is Yahweh, not Yahweh. Read.
The whole earth is full of his glory.
Read.
And the post of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then flew one of the seraphims unto me, having a live coal in his hand.
A seraphim flew into Isaiah, says, man, I'm not worthy to see this vision. I'm in the midst of sinners, pretty much, evil people, which is true. At the time, the Israelites were sinning against God, not following the commandments. So, I mean, I'm not even worthy to see the Creator or this vision. But the seraphim flew with a coal in his mouth. What's coal? You know what coal is, right? What is coal used for? What's that? What else? To purify water. It's a purifier. Like they have charcoal tablets, charcoal facial wash. I had that some at my house. You know, you cleanse your face with it. You cleanse water with it. Like you put charcoal, sand, rocks. You filter water through it. It's going to cleanse the water. If you're out in the wilderness somewhere, like on some survival tactics. So the seraphim is taking this cleansing agent. Read.
Having live coal in his hand, which he had taken with tongs from the altar, from off the altar. He laid it upon my mouth and said, Lo, this hath touched thy lips, and thine iniquity is taken away, and thy sin is purged.
Yeah, so he cleansed Isaiah of his iniquity and sins. So you're not familiar with the Bible that much, so I'm going to break it down to you this way. When you get into the New Testament, even the Old Testament, it talks about the angel of God forgiving sins. When you get to the New Testament, it talks about who the world calls Jesus. You heard that name before. It's a popular guy. You heard that name before, right? So guess what? When you get to look a picture of Quetzalcoatl, let's pull a picture of the serpent god that the Aztecs would worship. And they said they didn't make it up. They already had the ideology and thought process of a biblical concept, even though they didn't necessarily attribute it to that, but they already knew about it. That's the point I'm making. The serpent god, it says it's a serpent god in the Bible. You know what I mean? The cleansing agent, the coal that he referenced, obviously it was more of a visionary aspect and a spiritual aspect, but the objective here is proving that the Aztec, the Mayans, the Incas, the Native Americans, they all believe in the same entity by different names. And it all goes back to the Bible, though. Show it that. Now, in the Bible, the man they called Jesus was crucified on a tree, and after he died, they poked his side with a stake. If you read the Bible, if you read the New Testament, it says that. So this is Quetzalcoatl, the Mexican serpent god. This is a serpent god. It's depicted as another Jesus. Why? Because it's the same person. It's the same entity. Where did they get this from? They didn't get it from the white man when Columbus came. They already had it. Because if you read, what is it, the Popol Vuh and what's the other literature that they have? Yeah, the Popol Vuh is like the Mayan, quote unquote, Mayan Bible, quote unquote. But this is already in there. That's why when you read this book, it says, let me read it again. It calls him, calls them. It says it's a vague reference to Kukulkan, the feathered serpent, known among the tribes of Central America, and it says it's inappropriate for worshippers of Yahweh. You know what I mean? Of the Creator. But it's referencing the same thing because they're the same people. And like I said, even then, the Ten Commandments are from the Bible, right or wrong. You know that much, at least. So how these people that never met a white man before write this on the side of a mountain?
Right.
They didn't teach them that because this was here. This language isn't spoken by any Jewish person today. White people don't speak this language. This is the Israelites' language. The true people of the Bible. You know what I mean? Well, it's your ancestors, our ancestors. But guess what? Through our quote unquote iniquity, how Isaiah was referenced, have iniquity, which is sin against God. God allowed us to be conquered. He allowed us to be put in slavery. He allowed us to lose our culture, our sovereignty per se. We're in our enemy's land, speaking English. I'm a quote unquote black man. I'm Dominican actually. I'm either going to speak Spanish or English. Which one's our original language? Neither. They both come from Europe. Right. Europe? No. But why? Why are we speaking? Because our ancestors got conquered. And that's already been prophesied in the Bible. You know what I mean? Give me Deuteronomy 28. And I'm going to give you the most concrete evidence that you could ever have to prove that our people are the Israelites. Give me, I'm going to give you more archaeology. They found a Mayan slave ship much longer. If you don't get this, give me Deuteronomy 28. Give me 54 real quick.
Deuteronomy 28.
And we start off what? We're talking about prophet. What's your name, sister? Nolani? Okay. Is that a native name? Hawaiian? Not a problem. Go ahead.
Genesis 28 and 54.
Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy 28 and 54. So that the man that is tender among you, very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother.
Yeah, so when you read this whole chapter from start to finish, the first 14 verses talk about God saying, hey, if you obey me, you're going to be blessed, you're going to be above everybody, you're going to be ruling righteously, you're going to be in your own land, no worries, no issues. But if you break my laws, if you break the commandments, which is what's going to happen here, having an evil eye towards your own people, gang banging, pimping and pandering, telling drugs to your own people, that's not good, right? If you love somebody, you're not going to do that to somebody, right? If you have a relationship with somebody, hey, I love Nolani, Nolani, right? I love Nolani. That's my girl. But then I go home and slap the taste out of your mouth and lock you away in a room. But in public, we're having a lucky, yeah, but that's not real love, right? Love is an action word. It's not just a feeling, right? It's an action word. I have to treat you a certain way to prove that I love you. That's how God feels. We have to prove we love God by our actions. So God gave commandments to his people saying, hey, don't hate your people. Don't kill your people. Don't steal from your people. Don't lie to your people. Those are simple things we can control, right? He also gave us a dietary law. You know what I mean? What we can and can't eat. That's how we love the Creator. If he chose us to be special, and we're not showing that, guess what? Now the curses come upon you. What's one of the curses? Now you're going to have an evil eye towards the people that look like you. I'm wearing red, somebody's wearing blue, we're enemies just off the color. That's ridiculous. That's minuscule. But that's how simple our people are now. But they don't know who they are. You know what I mean? It's been 400 years of oppression to Native Americans, especially, because this was, you guys were here first, you, along with the Hispanic people of all North, Central, and South America, especially in Canada. They're going through hell right now. They're digging up all type of Catholic monasteries, finding all type of bones under there. You know what I mean? Because those people hate you. And they hate everybody that's not them. That's why they rule over us with rigor. But long story short, our people, since we're the people of the book, we have an obligation to the Creator. You know what I mean? People look at the Bible, well, that's the made up book. Wait a minute, I just showed you everything connects. Do you believe that? Did I show you that? I didn't just read the Bible to you, right? I showed you history. I went to the Hebrew. I went to the archaeology. I matched it all together. That's just one aspect of the Bible. Because we're talking about your people. We're not talking about everybody. We were talking about black people. We can talk about Hispanic people. We're talking about Native Americans. Because why is kept Hispanic people and Native Americans, like I said, are the same people for the most part, along with the quote unquote African American, Haitian, Jamaican, all those people are your people. Patrilineal. But where you at? Give me that again.
So the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother.
Read.
And toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave.
So the Israelites are talking about what? You're gonna have single parent households. You're gonna be evil towards your own wife. Is that common amongst blacks and Hispanic people?
Yeah, at least something like in my family.
What's that? What's happening in your family?
Yeah.
What happened?
My parents split up.
How long ago?
I was 12, so 7 years ago.
Was it over anything like crazy, or was it just mutual? Hey, we don't belong
It
together.
wasn't mutual. I mean,
Was it over like drama though?
yeah.
Well, it says it in the Bible that's what happened. It's unfortunate. A lot of families, I mean, some families don't have that issue. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily about one thing or the other thing, but it's a nationality thing. It's a nation thing. We're not looking at you as an individual anymore. We're looking at you, hey, that's my sister over there. If we see somebody beating you up down the street, we're going up there and running up on them. Hey, you can't do that. Whether you beat up yourself, hey, leave her alone. Even if it's their own people, hey, you can't do that. You can't treat her like that. That's how you show somebody love. And that's actually a sin against God. You can't stand idly by against your neighbor. You seen the whole Eric Garner situation? Remember that? Where the cop was on his neck? That was a sin to some people. They said you can't do that. You can't stand by and watch your brother get put to death. Or sister. If a cop was on your neck, I'd have to intervene. Like, hey, push him off you. I get in trouble, but guess what? At least you're not dead. That's how God feels. If you love your brother that much, you're supposed to intervene. Hey, stop that person from killing you. That's easy, right? And that's an action word. That's love for real. Huh? Man, that person saved my life. He loves me. He proved that he cares about me. Same as a relationship with God. We care about God. We love God. Guess what? He told us not to do certain things. I can't do it. I love him. I don't want to get put in punished. I don't want our people to be punished anymore. I don't want to be oppressed anymore. We might think we're free. We're free to roam in America. If I want to leave America, guess what? I gotta have a passport. I gotta have an ID. I gotta pay money. If I have a felony, guess what? I can't go nowhere. I can't leave the city, right? But guess what? In the Bible, if you get punished, certain things are punishable by death. But guess what? If I steal from you, I'm not getting put to death for that. But guess what? I have to pay you back plus 20%. That's in the laws of God. I gotta change the battery. Go ahead. The sun, the moon, and the stars. That's how you understand. Because the sun does what? It changes every hour, right? What does the moon do? Changes once a day. Right? You familiar with that? What do the stars do? It changes every season. Summer, spring, fall, winter. That's what it's talking about. So when they were on this boat trip, the ISRAELITES, who are the so-called Mexicans, those are ISRAELITES of the Bible, they were looking up at the stars, saying, okay, what direction we gotta go? God showed them what to look at. Hey, go this way. That's what it talks about in this verse. But we're gonna prove it here, read.
And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times,
They had understanding of the sun, moon, and stars.
read, to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment.
So everybody had to listen to one tribe, because they were the ones that had the blessing to understand to look at the stars and moon and the sun. And what else are you familiar with as far as what? The Mayan calendar. You know, that was a big thing back in 2012, right? Well, you're kind of young, so 2012 you were way younger, but if you study that, you're familiar with that, right? The Mayan calendar, they're talking about the world's going to end. But why? Because the Mayans had a calendar based on their understanding of the Bible, but when you read the Popol Vuh, like we said, their literature, it talks about basically like a, what's it called, like a refreshing. Basically talking about things are going to change in the earth. You know what I mean? You want to elaborate on that? The Mayan calendar and the Popol Vuh?
Yeah, so basically the Mayan calendar, the white man tried to be like, oh, the world ended or whatever. But see, what they didn't know that the Mayans, that they viewed life as cycles. You know what I'm saying? So they had a great calendar, right? So like think about how their calendar had cogs, like in a machine, like wheels and wheels. So they didn't understand that was just like an ending of a cycle. You know what I'm saying? But they try to perpetrate it as the end of the world was going to come or whatever. And that's what the white men do. You know what I'm saying?